Welcome to Sticky Buttons Radio, your favorite internet radio show all about the games we love. I'm one of your hosts, Blake McKean, and joined with me today is my co-host, Brandon Perenz. And we are going to have an internet radio show where we talk about our favorite soundtracks from video game history. Brandon, how are you feeling today?
Yo, what's going on, guys? Glad to be here today. Ready to listen to some tunes from some of our favorite video games. I'm ready to get right into it, Blake. I'm excited.
Hell yeah. Well, we're just going to go right into it with one of our favorite songs from one of my favorite games and a sticky button staple. This is Vignette by Disasterpeace from Hyper Light Drifter in 2016. Gosh, man. What a song.
What a track right there, dude. That got me in my feels.
Yeah, it's very evocative, man. The way it starts with just like the sounds and it goes into the piano keys. Oh my gosh. I just love that track. How does that make you feel, man, when you hear that song?
It makes me feel like I'm almost in a dream. It's very kind of trance-inducing. It's a really nice piano. I like how the notes are very spaced out. I put it into like double speed to hear what it would sound like that too. It still sounded really nice, like really fast. It's a great song, and I want to play the game as far as to see like where they're playing that song.
Yeah, man, obviously I love the game so much, but it's like it just lets it breathe, you know, and it does kind of feel like a dream, like you're entering into a dream when you listen to that. And oh man, I just love that. I love that song. And one of the reasons we wanted to bring it up and kind of start with this song is they just released, I guess, Heart Machine, they just released a sequel to Hyper Light Drifter. It's Hyper Light Breaker, although it's in early access. It just released this past week. And just like part of video games, you know, are the sounds and how you feel when you're in that world. And I just feel like the sounds of our Heart Machine and Hyper Light Drifter by Disasterpeace are very specific. And one of the things that I actually really love most about the early access is just the sounds and being in that environment and hearing the sounds. So definitely go check it out. It's on Steam in early access, and you can actually get both Hyper Light Drifter and Hyper Light Breaker early access for $26, I think, right now. That's on sale, and Hyper Light Drifter is a $20 game. So I think that's incredible value if you're trying to grow a Steam library and try this game out. I think it's eventually, when it comes out of early access, it's going to be on consoles. But man, what a soundtrack. And what a game.
That was awesome.
All right, dude. Well, let's move into our second song. I guess this is your song. You intro it, man. Kick us off.
Yeah, this is a song from Super Smash Bros. Nintendo 64. This was my first time ever interacting with this title, and I must have been maybe 6 or 5 years old. And I was awestruck when this came on the screen, because this is the first song you hear when you load up this game, if you choose to watch the intro and not skip it. And it's a sick intro, man. Like, I recommend, if you are a fan of Super Smash Bros., taking a trip to the past and watching that intro, because it's sick. And you get to see kind of the difference in kind of the visuals and be grateful for what Nintendo has been able to achieve over 20 years. So let's get right into the track.
Super Smash Bros. From N64. So cool.
That was awesome.
Oh, dude. I never played Super Smash Bros. From the N64. And just kind of seeing, like, watching the video of the intro and also listening to it, it's kind of crazy to me. This was, like, the first Smash Bros. And, like, this is, you get to see, like, the first time Ultra Hand is there. And I think we recently talked about this on our Game of the Year episode, which was the last episode that we published. I'm a recent Super Smash Bros. Fan and a recent Super Smash convert. And, like, I played Melee this year as well, and I'm having never played the N64 Smash, like, getting to see that kind of, like, the idea of Ultra Hand, like, reaching into a toy box and pulling out Link and Donkey Kong and, like, throwing them on a table, you know, just, like, throw them on the table, and then that's the stage, like, that's the platform, and that's where they duke it out. That was really cool to kind of learn, you know, that history, and then obviously the song is sick too. So thanks for bringing that one up for me specifically, because I feel like I learned a little bit about Super Smash Bros., but also you as well from that.
Yeah, man, that's just a bunch of nostalgia for me there. And, you know, what comes to mind immediately is those controllers, those Nintendo 64 controllers. They were something else. They look like little spaceships, like Fox Star spaceships. They're
the 3 prongs.
Yeah. They're really uncomfortable too after a while. Like, if you played for like 2 hours straight, you would definitely feel like imprints on your thumbs. But it, you know, it was a really fun game, and it was so simple. Now it's still relatively simple. I like how they haven't really changed too much in Super Smash Bros. As far as the mechanics go and the gameplay, which is interesting to see, especially when there's like a, you know, an online facet to the game now, and there's like a competitive side of Super Smash Bros. So for them to be able to kind of maintain that initial set way they had of fighting is impressive to see.
Yeah, it's kind of like a legacy. This was like kind of the first iteration, and just you could almost like see just from like watching like gameplay and like watching the intro, like you can almost kind of like see where the hitboxes are, just because like the characters are so like polygonal, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to kind of like see that transition to like today where it's like all smooth, and I imagine it just feels totally different, but you can kind of see the genesis of the idea and how that led into what it is today. So yeah, super special song. Thank you for bringing that to the radio show. Are we ready for the next one?
Yeah, let's get right into it.
So this is going to be Gris, Part 1 by Berlinist from Gris, 2018. Man, what a song.
Dude, that song was so crazy.
Man, it's just so moving to me, the way that you start. The song starts off with, these beautiful vocals, and it kind of just slowly fades into the piano and the other, sounds from the symphony, and it just kind of goes from this, it almost kind of feels like an outcry, and then it kind of crashes down. And what's interesting about this song is that this kind of plays during the opening of Gris. And as that song kind of crescendos to an end, that's when the game begins. And this game, I've talked about it so many times. It was very meaningful to me and had a big impact on me. I think that the meaning of the game is really open to interpretation. And when you have stunning visuals mixed with a soundtrack and a soundscape that sounds like that, it's easy to be moved just by the songs alone. And just the act of going through the game really meant a lot to me. And when I got to the end of it, I felt like I had really experienced something truly beautiful. And just listening to the soundtrack just takes me back to those moments, which is something that I think is really powerful, with songs. And video games, they can transport us to places. And in many ways, the soundtracks can take us back.
No, definitely. It's like a blast from the past. The music, it's funny how music can do that. And this song was like, it almost made me sad. Like, it's about, I wanted to drop a tear. And like, I'm watching this on YouTube and I see like recommended, like on the side, like Gris songs to cry to. It seems like a lot of this game's soundtrack can be used for kind of that emotion, that feeling. Yeah, I'm curious to see how the game kind of invokes emotion from the player. So I gotta check that out again. I think I did play it briefly, but it's been a while.
Yeah, it is a relatively short game. And I did want to also put this on here just to kind of, bring awareness to the follow-up to Gris, which is a game called Neva. That's a game that released at the end of 2024. And we didn't play it because we weren't buying new games in 2024. But I recently picked the game up and I have yet to try it. It was actually a Christmas gift. I didn't pick it up. My sister got it for me for Christmas. So thank you, Paige. Shout out to you.
That's awesome.
I'm excited to play it. Guarding my heart, though, because Gris was a little bit emotional.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Like we said when we talked about it on our episode, the meaning is up to interpretation, but I think a lot of people use it as an analog to dealing with grief. And it's very abstract in that way. Like, that's not cut and dry. Like, I think my meaning that I walked away from it was a little different, and I think I touched on that in our episode, which is way in our back catalog. But I just thought that song was beautiful, and it moves me every time I hear it. And when we're celebrating, some of the best gaming soundtracks, I just had to put this on there.
I feel like we got to take a pause after that one and really take that song in, and that was a good one. But let's move right into my next one. It's going to be Majora's Mask, The Chase.
That is creepy. A little creepy, a little scary. Like I'm on edge. Like I'm being chased.
Yes, that is a thrilling song. It is very fast paced, and I believe it is from Majora's Mask, a chase scene with Link in it. I didn't really play this game too much. I watched my uncle play it. I was like very scared of this game because of the Majora's Mask, like the heart thing on the cartridge. I was scared to even play it.
Yeah, I can see that. I've never played it
and
either.
Even like, as you can see, the music and also kind of the game when you're playing it, it's like there are some scenes that are dark and like you're running around through tunnels and stuff. So I was really young when I first heard this song, and I didn't really delve into the game, but now I kind of want to check that out, probably on a emulator, and just see what's there for me, because I enjoyed Breath of the Wild, so I'm really curious about Majora's Mask.
Yeah, I mean, that very clearly left an impact on you. It's a very evocative song. Actually, I've been really interested in checking out this game. Obviously, both of us, we started playing Breath of the Wild, I think, when we started the podcast, and then with Tears of the Kingdom as well. It would be really interesting to go back. Do you know much about this game? I learned like a brief history about this a while back. Were you familiar with this at all?
Not really. I want to go back and learn more about it, but I believe this game came out in 2000, the year I was born.
Okay. Really? Oh, wow. That's interesting. I just thought it was funny that you said that this came out when you were born in 2000, because this is, I guess, Majora's Mask is a follow-up to Ocarina of Time, which came out, it didn't come out the year that I was born, but it came out a little after. I was born in 1997, and Ocarina of Time came out in 1998. So maybe we should check out these games. It almost seems like this would be very thematic for us. So I think The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, when it came out, it's one of the few 10 out of 10s from IGN. That means anything to you.
That means a lot. They don't give those out.
Yeah. Obviously an incredible video game at the time. I think it was the first Zelda in 3D, and their follow-up, they were kind of like forced to crunch and work on a follow-up, and that follow-up was Majora's Mask. And I think that there have been a lot of people that have kind of theorized and speculated that the development was very hellish for Majora's Mask, and that they were kind of being forced to get something out as fast as they could because the Ocarina of Time did so well. And I think it was one of the times where Nintendo didn't let the developers breathe, and they were kind of like, you got to meet this deadline. And I think it's just I mean, obviously we haven't played it, but it seems to be like from the history of it that it's one of their weirder entries. And I know that there's kind of like a time loop element in the game where you only have 3 days and you have to basically complete the game in 3 days. And you kind of like start 3 days, and then if you don't complete the game in 3 days, it kind of like sends you back to the beginning, and you kind of have to like restart your progress. So I think that kind of feeling of unease and unsettled and being unsettled, you can really hear that in the soundtrack.
That's interesting lore. I didn't know that about the game, but that's an interesting like correlation between like the development team and them being pressured and the game feeling. I mean, just from this song alone, you could tell that they were definitely going through something back there. So that's interesting. I'd love to learn a little more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, the 3DS is a great way to play it. I actually, when I was looking into this, I bought a copy of Ocarina of Time for the 3DS and a copy of Majora's Mask on the 3DS. And at the time, they were fairly reasonable buying them used, like buying a used cartridge. It really wasn't that much at the time, so maybe we should look into that and bring back the 3DS for the pod.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I still got my 3DS, so I'm ready to check those out.
All right, well maybe you'll hear more from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask from us in the future. So I guess moving on to my next game. This is actually a game that I have never played either, but I just listened to the soundtrack and I just think that this song is amazing. So I guess you can be the judge of that for yourself. This is Frostlands from Octopath Traveler 1. I just love that sound. It's just like such a peaceful, such like a calming track. And it just makes me want to go to wherever this is. I just want to be here. I don't know where this is. I don't know where the Frostlands are. But man, it just sounds beautiful.
Yeah, man, it's so serene. And I kind of want to take that soundtrack and put it on Minecraft and play Minecraft with that soundtrack. It's so calming and peaceful. But I definitely want to, check out more of that soundtrack now. That sounds really, really cool. And I bet there are other songs similar to it. So I want to check out that game.
Yeah, and I guess the reason that I put this on here, the reason this made, I guess, the kind of the hit list for us to talk about is the two of us, we've kind of, in the past year, probably the past 2 years, we've kind of expressed some frustrations with Pokemon, which is, if you've listened to the show, it's like one of our favorite game franchises to talk about, and we just both love Pokemon so much. So I guess for me, I kind of have a New Year's resolution, and I think that you might want to join me on this quest, so to say. But I'm going to really push myself this year, and I'm going to try some different RPGs and some different top-down RPGs and some different types of games that are turn-based, maybe from developers in Japan, but not necessarily Pokemon games. And Octopath Traveler is a unique example of a game that was published by Square Enix, who also publishes Final Fantasy. And I believe they published Dragon Quest as well. So with Octopath, it was a new art style where it was kind of 2D, 3D is kind of or 2D, HD. They have like a trademark for it. And it's basically kind of like a newer game that is made in a kind of retro style where it's a 2D plane, but there are 3D elements to it. And if you take like a look at screenshots of this game came out in 2018, but it very much has like this retro flavor, and it kind of just looks like a hidden game from the past. And they've gone on to make an Octopath Traveler 2, which released a few years ago. I think that we, should really try and push ourselves to try some other games that aren't Pokemon, that are similar to Pokemon. I think we'll both really like them. And I think this was an example of something like that also just has a beautiful soundtrack.
Yeah, there's a lot of good options out there to explore, so I'm curious to, check some of those out, and I'm excited to join you on that New Year's resolution, checking out some other top-down RPGs. There's a lot out there.
Maybe a quest, you could say?
Perhaps a quest out there. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go into your next one.
All right. So my next one is going to be from a top-down RPG. It's going to be from a Pokemon game. This is going to be from Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, the championship fight with Cynthia. That was a very, very eventful fight for me at the time. I've done it a lot of times, but also I've watched it on the Pokemon anime, and I really enjoyed it. So let's get right into this track.
song goes so hard, dude.
It really does. The bounce on that, like the bass, it's just so like, I don't know, it's almost addicting, that song. And I saw a comment on the YouTube video when I was watching it that said that you only have 6 questions on this test, and then it says like the 6 questions, and then the song is like, yeah, I feel like that embodies that feeling of like pressure and almost like a little bit like just the excitement. Chase, and it's definitely a thrilling song. What are your thoughts on it?
Oh man, I have so many thoughts on this. When I saw this on your list, I was so excited. This song, I mean, it just like gets me hyped. I feel like I need to add it to my like gym playlist.
Right? Yeah, it'd be great to bench to.
Yeah, it kind of just like puts you on edge, but like gets you excited. Kind of like you said, like you're nervous, but you know you're there to do your thing and you're ready to do it. Oh man, I just love this song. I'm so glad that you put this on here because I don't know if you had this, but I definitely, like, I guess when we grew up, I mean, we kind of grew up along with the internet. And I remember, like, at the age where I was playing this game, like, you could go online, but they didn't have, like the soundtracks for new games were not online. You couldn't, like, if I wanted to listen to the soundtrack, I couldn't go onto YouTube and listen to it. And I distinctly remember, like, wanting to hear the song again and getting my team ready and challenging the Elite Four again, just so I could hear the song. That was like the only way to do it, was like to get back to that point, to like fight Cynthia again. Like if you want to hear the song, you gotta fight Cynthia. And oh my gosh, just like, I mean, we've talked about it. How many times have we started, you know, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, and I got to, you know, relive that with the remakes. And man, that fight was just so hard. I don't remember like it being that hard on the DS, but oh my gosh, she was so challenging, and just hearing that, she just like beats you down. Her Garchomp.
That Garchomp is lethal.
You get through it, and you're the champion. And man, just what an exciting song. Thank you for putting this on your list,
yeah, man. That's I felt like it definitely embodies some of my favorite. It's on the list of my favorite video game songs. It's up there. I can't really rank it, but it's definitely up there.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, it's just, I just want to give it another moment. Like, that song is just so good, and it just gets me so excited. But alas, we must move on to the next one. So the next song is Woody Path from Eastward.
That was so hard,
What
dude.
a song.
That was crazy.
Oh man, I just love this song, man. And I love this whole soundtrack. This is from a game called Eastward, which we just talked about so much when it came out. And I really fell for the art style and connected with that, and just getting onto the game, and then just being blown away by the visuals and the music, and then, you know, going from one place to the next, and then just hearing, you know, this beautiful but also peaceful full music that has like a lot of depth and layers. One thing that I really like about it is like you're listening to it and you're like, that's the beat, and then like something else gets added, and it's like it's another layer, and then you kind of just like another layer is added, and you can really kind of hear it kind of like building in on itself. And in the game, when you're exploring this woody path, there are a lot of levels to it, and it really just like makes kind of thematic sense that you're kind of like going up and down on these platforms. It's almost like you're exploring like this wooded path, and you're kind of going up and down in elevation as the song kind of goes ups and down, has its ups and downs with its layers. And it really just like, it was special for me because like, one, it's just an incredible song, and it just like matches the gameplay, and it just, you know, it's beautiful what you're looking at when you're playing it, and then to just be there and hear that, it's just something incredible.
Yeah, that was a great song, and another one of those songs that makes me want to pick up the game and just hear it and experience it firsthand, because man, that was awesome. Like Eastward, which I have played some Eastward now that I think about it, and also my little sister really enjoys that game too. It's one of those games where like you pick it up and you find yourself like having a hard time putting it down because you just want to keep going. Yeah, really fun game, great song.
Yeah, that's Woody Path from Eastward. Let's get into your next one, man. I'm excited for it. I love this song as well.
Yeah, this one is a fun one for sure. Let's get right into it. So this is going to be from Skyrim. This is the Dovahkin, or Dragonborn, theme song. Let's give it a listen. Dude, what a song, man.
Oh my gosh. It's I have so many just so many thoughts, man. It's so hard for video game soundtracks to have, vocals in them, and just to hear like the beautiful singing and chanting, and as it just kind of starts so low in the beginning and goes into the middle with just like the beautiful vocals that lets you kind of, it builds and then it lets it breathe and then it just comes down, and man, it's just like such a beautiful song.
Yeah, man. One of this game's biggest problems was how hard it was to get off of that title screen. I would just sit there sometimes and just listen to the Gregorian chant. Like it's amazing. It just makes you want to pick up a sword, and it's perfect for Skyrim. And this was, I vividly remember this being the first game I had for my PS4. My dad had just gotten it for me, and I was super excited to get into this, and I just had spent countless and countless hours in Skyrim and appreciating the soundtrack. I mean, this is just the intro song before you even load in. There's a lot of other great music, and actually music plays kind of a huge part in the game. You have people playing music in some of the most important and pivotal scenes in Skyrim. I mean, whether or not it's like in the game or there's actual like musicians around to play music, which is always really nice. You yourself can play music, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you can pick up an instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, oh man, Skyrim. This song right here is a great intro song. I can't think of a better intro song than Skyrim's, honestly. But Super Smash Bros. Is a close second.
But it's a second. This, oh my gosh, this song, it just like fills your chest with like almost like courage. It was like you need the courage to go out into Tamriel.
Oh, for sure you do.
You need the courage to boot up your save file and take on the dragon. But I guess the last point that I'll make on this is the Dragonborn, it's connected to the Thum, and that's like your throat. And I just think it's like so thematic that you kind of, there's like these like throat singing and this chanting, and it's connected obviously to Dragonborn and their ability to use dragon shouts. And I just think that's so cool, the way that kind of fits into the lore. And I mean, the song's just so epic. It's just cool to have that backstory to it.
It really is. It really is. That's such an important part of the game, is being able to shout and being able to read the language, the Dovahkin language. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's, the things that are inscribed on the tablets. Man, what an interesting concept, Dovahkin. Very original to Skyrim.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other fantasy that I know of where it's the dragon's ability is kind of shouting and using like a voice. And I think that's really cool. Man, what a great song. What
a great song. But alas, we have to move on to the next one. And I'll go ahead and skip you here, Blake. I'm sorry. This song right here, I'm just excited to get to play it. Let's get right into it. Let's give it a listen. Oh man, I'm so sorry I didn't give you guys a warning. That was that was a creepy creepy song. But I feel like
Brandon was like, "Let's get into it." I'm like, "Dude, this song is creepy as hell." But it's awesome. This song is awesome.
I feel like it encapsulates everything that Texas Chainsaw Massacre is about. Like around the middle of the song, you'll hear like a ringing that is like a da-na, 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 and that kind of sounds like Leatherface is like creeping up behind you with a chainsaw.
Mm-hmm.
It does make you feel like you're in like a tight space. It's very dissonant. Like it makes you feel uneasy, uncomfortable. And that's what Texas Chainsaw Massacre is all about. You know, it's an asymmetrical survival horror game, so you're trying to escape from the scary family's house, the scary family that's trying to kill you and prevent you from escaping. And yeah, Blake picked up this game, so I'm excited to hop on that with Blake.
Yeah, I got it. I have yet to play this. If you're new to the podcast, this made Brandon's Game of the Year list 2 years in a row, and I'm very excited to try it. And I think what's really sold me, I mean, obviously Brandon sold me on how much fun that he's had and just the experiences he's had. But it's very special when, the sounds of a game kind of match, what you're doing in it. And I feel like we talk about this, sometimes on the pod as well, when like your actions in a video game make thematic sense. And video games, they're just this perfect, beautiful, interactive medium that we all love. And we all have those moments where everything just clicks and the sound is working with what you're doing and it's matching like what's going on and what's happening around you. And that kind of feeling that this invokes, obviously it being like a survival horror game, it's creepy, but the song matches that, but it gives you intrigue, and it's also, it has other sounds, and it's the depth to it. Really, it sounds like a special experience. And as creepy as it is, I think this song is rad as hell. And I really, it's hard to say that I enjoy listening to it, but I do enjoy listening to it. It's very interesting to listen to, despite the fact that it's a little off-putting. It kind of makes you shrug your shoulders a little when you listen to it. But it keeps you captivated, and it keeps you in the moment and in the soundscape. And I really appreciate that about Bizarre Crimes from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Check it out. You gotta check out that game, guys, if you haven't already. It's made my Game of the Year list twice for a reason. It really is a unique experience.
Oh. Well, that brings us to our last soundtrack, our last song of this radio broadcast. This is Yesterday Skies by Amos Rodney from Citizen Sleeper 2022. Yesterday's skies.
Save the best for last.
Everything's objective. What are your thoughts on that?
That was amazing, Blake, honestly. I didn't really play Citizen Sleeper, but I feel like that encapsulates the game and what it's about well. That's crazy to say, even though I didn't play the game. I just hearing like the intro, how like it's kind of down and it's sad, and then it kind of feels like, the best way I could describe it is like losing hope. Like there's a loss of hope, and then it like Damn. It surprises me when like you get to the middle and you see like slowly like an increase, and then there's like a bit of like a beat to it. Kind of sounds like there's little water drops in the beat, if that makes sense. And man, this song is like...
No, I do.
There's so many emotions in this song. It's a very emotional song. It definitely makes me curious about the game.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, man. I have so much to say. I guess just, on the soundtrack specifically, like, I just think that this ambient sound is just so breathtaking, and it takes you somewhere else. To me, it's melancholy, but it's meaningful. And what you were saying, that really hit home, because in this game, you really are kind of, confronted with giving up. And it's a sci-fi world where you play as somebody called a sleeper. And that sleeper is an emulated consciousness. And in order for a sleeper to be created, a person would have to sell a copy of their consciousness. And then that copy, that emulated copy, is a sleeper. And sleepers are, slaves. They're owned by a corporation. So it's a very bleak sci-fi world. And as, in this game, Citizen Sleeper, you break free of that. And you're on the outskirts of society. You're being hunted by bounty hunters. And your very existence, is kind of illegal. The way people treat you. It really is a story about the human experience, but what it's like if you're kind of on the outside of that. And if in a day and age when things are kind of uncertain, I just think that you can see a lot, maybe even see yourself as maybe being someone on the edge or somebody on the outside of things and maybe on the verge of society. And I just feel like that feeling encapsulated in that song, it is hopeful. I think that you said something there too, where shit can still be bleak and you can still have hope. And I really loved my time with Citizen Sleeper. I know that when we talked about it on the podcast, it was very brief, but as the years have gone by and the game has sat with me, this is my favorite game of all time. And I really just return to the soundtrack more than any other game that I ever have. And I just return to, listening to it in all moments of my life and just existing in it. And by the time this episode comes out, Citizen Sleeper 2, the follow-up, is going to come out in a few days. Citizen Sleeper 2 releases on 1/30, and it's probably my most anticipated game of this year. I actually have...
That's real soon.
That is real soon. I'm really excited for it. And I don't necessarily know how much we talked about it on the podcast, so I brought it to the show, and I talked about it on Indie Nook, which was this kind of offshoot of the show that we did. It's on our main feed if you kind of go down. We published those when we were on a break this past year, and I talk about Citizen Sleeper pretty much exclusively. And it really had a huge impact on me. I mean, obviously I played it for the show and then I returned to it. And man, I just like the writing of it, the art of it. It really just moved me as a person and made me feel so many things. And I think that this soundtrack is just a small piece of that. So I guess put Citizen Sleeper 2 on your radar and maybe check out Citizen Sleeper 1. It's one of the best games ever made, in my opinion.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely got to check out Citizen Sleeper now. That soundtrack was very compelling and it drew me in. I got to tune in.
Yeah, if you're interested, I mean, obviously the full albums for all of these games can be found on the internet. And I'll throw on Citizen Sleepers and just kind of listen to it. I'll do the same for Gris and Octopath Traveler and Eastward too. All of mine, I'd recommend the whole albums. And this was just kind of meant to be a tease, a celebration. Who knows, maybe this is the first of many radio shows to come But as the sticky buttons, we're an internet radio show, and we figured we'd actually do some radio.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun to kind of dig deep and find some of the songs that mean a lot to us, some of the songs that stood out to us in these video game experiences that we've had. So I look forward to doing this again in the future, and thank you so much for tuning in. This has been super fun.
Yeah. I guess before we part ways on this radio broadcast, before we each go our separate ways on the airwaves, the internet right now, I don't know, things are a little uncertain. So if you're looking to find us, to get a hold of us, we have our Discord linked. I think that, there's some, some uncertainty around platforms and where, social media and where people can find us. So our Discord is linked. It's in the episode description. So if you're somebody that has followed us and are looking for information, that's the best place to find us. And we're in that Discord. We post in there and we chat about video games. So if you're looking for, a wholesome place to chill out, we have our Discord.
Definitely check out the Discord. It's really fun to be in there and chat about video games. We even talk about manga. It's a great way to just stay in touch with us and see what we're up to.
Yeah, absolutely. And we hope you enjoyed this radio broadcast. And I don't know, I'd like to do this again.
Me too.
Well, I guess until next time, this is your host, Blake McKean, signing out.
And Brandon. Peace out.
Brandon. All right.